Obedience Week 2. So I have Jack here. He's been in for training with me, so he's going to be a little bit more advanced than your average dog in the class would be, but I'm going to use him as my demo dog so you can follow along with the instructions. So the first thing we need to think about is your leash. Now normally most people would hold the leash wrapped around their hand, ready for their dog to take off. The problem with this is when your dog pulls forward, what happens is your arm follows forward, and then the collar goes tight, and then your dog starts to choke himself in an effort to get away with you. So what I'm going to teach you to do is to hold the leash a little bit differently. Won't be forever, but it's definitely going to help you with the training stages. So I'm going to have Jack on my right, so I'm going to hold the leash in my left hand. I'm going to gather up the excess, and I'm going to anchor it in the centre of my body. I still want it loose down here. I don't want tension on the leash because that's what makes the dog pull against me and start to choke himself. So, leash in the centre of the body here. If he pulls forward, that's the only distance he can go. Okay, so the second stage is we need to get our starting position correct. So what I need is Jack in the side position here. So this is what I call the reward zone. I want his shoulder in line with the side of my leg. Now, to get him there, there's a couple of ways that we can do it. If you went through the puppy class, you're going to be very familiar with the lowering. So with the lowering, I'm going to bring him into position. To get him there, I'm going to put that treat nice and close to his nose, and I'm going to bring him around half a circle. Yes. And back to the starting position. Okay, so I'll do it once more. Go for it. Treat right close to the nose. Lower him. Yes. When he hits the correct position, say yes. As soon as you say yes, you must release the treat. Yes, and I just said yes again because he was giving me lots of focus, which you would have learned in the theory class when we gave the watch me command aid. Yes. If your dog isn't very good at lowering at this stage, the other thing you can do is you can step so that your shoulder yeah, this is a dog that gets rewarded a lot in front, so this is a really common behaviour because treats always arrive at the front. We want you to get into the habit of treats always begin here. So I'm going to try again, but I think he'll move. I'm going to try and step into his shoulder position. Yes, a reward. Okay? So once you get to that stage, you've lowered. Let's do it once more. Treat in front of the nose, half a circle. Turn him, so he finishes it up at your side. As soon as he gets to your side, yes, a reward. Now I'm just going to grab a few more treats. Next step is we want to make it rewarding for your dog to be in the side position. Now this position isn't perfect, but he's still learning, so we'll go with that. What you're going to do before you even step off is reward, reward, yes, reward, reward. Okay, so you're feeding for position. Yes. One way to remember the correct hand in the leash is I always think the hand nearest the dog's head is the hand that's going to feed. Okay, so once you get comfortable with keep feeding your dog, you're going to start adding a couple of steps. Now I'm going to move backwards so it gives me more room before the camera. Okay, so half a circle. So what you're going to do is one step forward, yes. One step forward, yes. So what happens is as the dog comes forward, you've already dropped your hand and the treat is there. So I don't want you lowering them. I want the dog to step forward, and as your dog gets into position, yes, the the treat's already there. Okay, one step forward. Yes. Yes. Okay, so when you've got that and you're feeling more comfortable with feeding your dog, you're going to add 2 steps before you feed. So dog in the starting position. 1, 2, yes. 1, 2, yes. 1, 2, yes. Good. Okay, let's go there. So now we can add on 3 steps before reward. 1, 2, 3, yes. 1, 2, 3, yes. Like I say, he's been training a week, so he already knows this drill. Every time you practice this, if your dog goes ahead, all you're going to do is you're going to get the treat, bring them back to the starting position, so you're resetting yourself, and you're going to move forward. Yes, okay. So you gradually start adding more and more steps. So it starts off with 1 step. I would probably go up to 4 or 5 steps. How long it takes varies with every dog. Every dog's different. In the beginning, you might just spend a lot of work just building the foundation of adding 1 step. Now, when we've got the straight line walking sorted, now we need to work on the turns. So what normally happens with the dogs that I see into class is they are not really aware of what your body is doing. So without even realizing it, what you tend to do is just swap the leash over in your hands, in front and behind. It doesn't really matter, and your dog never learns to pay attention to you and what your body is doing. So this is a really good training exercise for them. I'm going to show you 2 turns. I'm going to start off with the outside turn, which is the easier of the 2. I just need more treats. You're going to feel like a treat dispenser in the early days. Oh, freebie. So with this one, I'm going to move forward, and what I want the dog to do is move around behind me. I want him to follow my feet and my shoulders. So because it's still the early days of training, let's just get him back in the start position. Yes. You're going to be using your treats a lot to lure the dog, okay? Focus, everything like that will start to come in the later classes. This week is just about building the value for the dog staying by your side as you move around. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to say do 1, 2, 3 steps. I'll do less than that for this video. Then I'm going to turn. So what's what I do with the dog? So 1, 2, 3. Yes, good. After he turns the corner, 1, 2. Yes, the treat goes there. What will probably happen with your dogs, they're not in the mindset of why should I do the long route round when I know the treat's in this hand. I can just dive across the front and grab the treat. That's not what we want. We want the dog to start, yes, becoming aware about what our body's doing and following. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, turn. Yes. Good boy. 1, 2, 3. Yes. So as you get more advanced, you would do more and more steps. For the video purposes, I'm just keeping it short. Now, the more difficult turn is the inside turn. So for the inside turn, I'm going to be going around the outside of my dog. I want them to turn on the inside. What will normally happen with your dogs, especially if you have a big, strong dog who's never paid attention to you before, is you will be going on a straight line, you'll go to turn, and your dog will most likely walk forward, and you'll end up having to use your outside leg to push him to make him go right. If this is successful, you will find after a couple of times, instead of your dog trying to push through with a straight line, what they'll actually start to do is read your body language, and they will actually start to pull back and do the turn with you. Again, because it's the early stages of training, I'm going to be luring my dog on the turn. Now, I'm not going to pull my leash up and try and steer them right. My leash is going to stay still in the centre of my body. If you have a difficult dog, yes, you can slide your hand down the leash and just anchor it on your hip to help them go around, and then probably after a couple of times you can release that. But remember, the more tension you put on that leash, the more the dog's going to try and pull against it. So let's give it a go. So, ready, Duck? Let's get in the starting position. Good. Oh, better. Good. Okay, so 1, 2, I'm going to turn. Yes. Good. 3, turn. Yes. So after the turn is completed, you're going to release that treat. I should really have my pouch on the front so I don't have to keep disappearing to get the treats. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, turn. Good boy. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Good. So of course he's making it look really easy because he's done this many times in the last week or so while he's been in for training. What I suggest at home, if you set up yourself 2 markers, pylon chairs, logs, it doesn't really matter, you can practice what I call the figure of 8. So the figure of 8 is, you would say my marker's there, you would do the 1 turn, dogs on the outside, get your second marker, turn, dogs on the inside. The space in between doesn't matter. The bigger the space, the more chance you get to practice just with the dog walking by your side. Okay, so just a quick review. We're not looking for the focus this week. All we do is working towards building value for the dog walking in this position. Don't be afraid to use too many treats. This is still the early stages of training. Don't forget that when we say yes every time we give it, every time we give the treat, eventually we can cut down on those treats, and yes just becomes a reward for the dog. It's, yes, I did something for you, I got attention from you, and they're really happy with that. Yes, good boy. Okay, more next week.